We're going to hear about Inscript today. That's an event exploring the zeitgeist of current trends and technologies in expressive typography from one of Inscript's members and co-curators, Ksenya Samarskaya. Ksenya is a member of the Alliance Graphique Internationale. She has served on the boards of AIGA New York and A-Type I, and she was the managing director of the Type Directors Club of New York. She's written for Ion Design and Wired magazines, among others. And I asked Ksenya for an interesting and possibly embarrassing tale to share as part of her intro. She told me that was coming up in her talk. So stay tuned, folks. Take it away, Ksenya.
Hey everyone. Okay, I am live. I will share screen. All right. Hi everyone. Nice to see some of you in the chat room. I am going to give a talk, or I'll try to have a conversation with you, and it's going to be somewhat disjointed from the slides and what's going to be going on the main screen. It might work, it might not, but the nature of experimentation and the nature of like slightly elevated level of overwhelming inspiration is in line with the festival. So it seemed worth giving a try. So I will start rolling through different slides and they'll play kind of like a little screensaver visual candy, and you can watch them, you can listen to me, you can chat with me, we can talk. So I'll give an introduction to myself first. I'm Ksenya Samarskaya, and like I said, I'm very curious as to who's in the room, and I tend to prefer bidirectional or multi-directional connections and conversations. So I'd like to see if we can make that happen. So definitely say hello in the chat, give an introduction to yourself as I talk, and let's see if we can meet each other. And I'll be talking in the chat, reading, typing as well. Awesome. Hi to Berlin. So yeah, I'm a designer and a strategist. My practice has ranged across realms of experimental technology, brand strategy, visual design, environmental design, and multilingual type design for a large segment of my career. And then I am here today as a member of the Inscript Collective, and I will be talking about the Inscript Festival and what we do there, giving you guys an introduction and kind of a little bit of the backstory, and also here to answer any questions that you might have. Awesome. Hey, people. Hello, iPad and Rome, and Jesse and Melanie and Suyen. So Inscript is an online festival. It runs for 5 consecutive days every October. And the focus of Inscript is works that are at the edges of typography and experimentation, with a primary focus on how different tools lead to different results and aesthetics. The event started in 2002, so we've been doing it for 3 years now. And the next one will take place this October. We just launched, you can get tickets already, and the speakers will be announced soon. The works that take place at Inscript tends to be, at the overlap of typography and tools in terms of how typography is shifting and changing in today's day and age. So there's a lot of creative coding. We feature type designers, and those that work with type in unique ways, installation art, unique ways of doing craft, see more of your messages, uh, and a whole range of things. And then some of it's what you're seeing on the main screen. We tend to have over 30 speakers every year. And yeah, what you're seeing is works from just some of those that have presented in the past 3 years. So you get an idea of what you can expect and what an Inscript style of work looks like. So yeah, the works that you're seeing is just a really small glimpse of what we've covered and what the speakers and presenters tend to do. And yes, like Letterform Archive said, drop the questions. As much as we can make this a conversation, I think it'll be a richer experience for both you and for me. And in the meantime, I will just tell you more of what we've done and what's going on and what we're thinking about. Uh, yes.
What's happening here, Ksenya?
Oh, did the
No,
screen?
I'm just wondering what this wild images that we're looking at.
So yeah, so these are you seeing all, you know what? You're not even seeing all of them. Are you seeing all of them now? Now I think
Yeah,
now you're seeing all of them.
yeah.
Now you're seeing what they are. So if I talk for long enough, maybe we'll circle back through, but possibly not. So yeah, so yeah, so these are works from, like I said, these are very, very small glimpse of what we've done over the 3 years at Inscript so far. Not everyone is in these slides, but this gives you an idea of what kind of work we're looking at, what kind of works we're thinking about and dealing with.
So tell me a little bit about this project, if you don't mind. Like, how do you sign up? The stuff we're seeing is amazing. Like, do you apply to participate in this, or what is the process for joining?
So yes. So the festival, we started it 3 years ago. And we were noticing there's a certain realm of like experimental works in the zeitgeist that people were making that were kind of at the edges of type, pushing type in new ways. I guess you can kind of say that it's display type, but like taken to level 100. And there wasn't a place to kind of showcase it all or gather or focus on it. So we wanted to kind of put the spotlight and have a place to talk about it. There are 3 curators for Inscript every year. I've been one of the curators every year. So that is how people get selected. Um, Anyone can attend. It's super accessible. It's like 40 euros for all 5 days with 6 days of replay access. And yeah, get in touch, follow us on Instagram. And we've recently launched a micro grants program as well. So that is another way to get on our radar, get discovered, slide into our DMs, hashtag us, and definitely come check out all the works and the conversations that take place. Um,
So we have a question here from Angela. Angela asked, do you see an overall direction, emerging direction in experimental work, or is it really varied?
There's definitely a direction we saw initially when we put this together. And then it's interesting because there's like shifts and themes that we see from year to year. Initially, like I said, we were just seeing all of this work that was pushing type beyond what traditional type focused entities were looking at. So it's a lot of creative coding, it's a lot of physical installations and larger scale works. It's really innovative use of crafts, and it's my mind jumps in a couple different directions, so we'll talk in a couple different directions. But basically, the relationship that typography and type and design have always had to the mode of production is in a current place of being extrapolated, where code and tools are allowing so much more to take place that what type is, what typography is changing. And so Inscript is a place for all of us to kind of gather once a year and to think about it and talk about it, and try to understand it together. So people will showcase their crazy experiments. People are very open in terms of talking about how they make what they do. There's a lot of process that's shared. There's a lot of conversations about where, as individuals, as a society, as an industry, do we want to kind of go and push this? So that general kind of thing is what we brought Inscript together to explore. And kind of some of the things, one of the things we're seeing is initially we're like, okay, how big is this space or this overlap of spaces? And we're like, are we going to have, if we're doing so many speakers every year, are we going to have enough to keep going? Like, what is the interest and what is the level of output in this realm? And one of the things we've seen is just how much growth there is, both in terms of like how intense our debates are every year, in terms of who we put on stage and how we curate it, in terms of how many people we're seeing create work that is at the overlap of what we're super excited about, and also in just the response from the audience. We were completely shocked by how many people sign up and come back and get excited about it. So it feels nice that we've kind of tapped into something that other people are equally as enthused and joyous about. And then every year we see shifts in terms of zeitgeist and in terms of what people are doing and how tools impact the design output, and then vice versa, how that affects the tools or how the tools get used and launched into the mainstream. I think the first year there was a lot of interest in AI. So there was a lot of kind of, it almost seems a little naive, but like super, super rigorous and super scientific, like super knowledgeable, but like this kind of openness to AI and artificial intelligence. And then we've seen like how it evolves over the years, where like by the second year, people were already pretty bored of AI, and there was a completely different attitude about it in terms of like, yes, you can do that, but you also have to combine it with other tools. And people were really showing their process and like how many different tool buckets a project goes through, or what they were doing to the work in order to make it feel unique and authentic to them and contemporary and at the level of art and design that the community expects. And then in the most recent event, like how much more refined that gets. We try to make Inscript as safe of a place as we can for the speakers and the audience and everyone, to talk about things that are maybe not final, not refined, about really the most recent experiments that they're doing and the potentially to be run, make mistakes, like I said, share techniques, and kind of be a place that those conversations, they definitely don't end there, but a lot of them can start there. So that is that the long-winded tangent to that. And then I can answer
One question I had. So at first I was like, oh, this looks like a lot of digital work that's imitating physical work, or it's sort of referencing the way that things used to be produced. Like, see something that looks like it's on paper, but it's actually fully digital. But then I see that there are a lot of tangible works as well, right? Just maybe taking a different form than we're used to seeing, like the type knitting with Rudiger Schlomer, for instance. I mean, he's and also like this looks like a digital imitation of needlepoint artwork,
Mhm.
right? So I'm
Yeah,
seeing a really cool blend of digital, tangible, and overlapping art.
exactly. And that's so great that you're having Rudiger. He was so wonderful. So yeah, anyone that's here, sign up, attend, whether it's workshop or talk or something. He's fantastic. But yeah, so we take a really, really wide concept of what a tool is or what a technology is, down to, we're like, is it also, can it be a mode of thinking? Can it be an approach? Can it be a technique? Um, and there's definitely a lot of people like using things in inappropriate ways or going back to old technologies. And it's more the spirit of experimentation and innovation. And it's a bit of like a not very exact and kind of porous boundary that we create and conversations that we have when we're curating. Because if work that doesn't fit in another bucket doesn't fit, like it has to fit at our event. Our event is for works that are at the overlap or that are not in any existing realm or industry or at something that does not yet exist. So the boundaries of what's experimental, what's a tool, what's a technology, um, is something we are very actively discussing both inside the festival and as we curate and as we kind of position and think of the future of the event. Um, and similarly, like we're thinking like what's typography, and all of these definitions are something we are regularly grappling with, in ways that, yeah, I think one of the conversations I ended up having with Underwear, after their talk, I was on a kick of trying to understand if audio recordings or AI audio or audio bots were typography, and that I think they potentially might be. So we have a lot of fun in trying to understand what our world is and what it can become. And it's a place where, like I said, we try to make it super space to like ask a lot of questions, make a lot of mistakes, throw a lot of things on the wall, and for people to connect to other people that are doing similarly or doing something that's opposite but aligned or might inspire.
What is this thing we're looking at right here? Is this a way? It
Uh,
looks kind of like an old router and a pantograph, but it wasn't.
so there's a lot of people playing with with code and physical machines. That's a drawing bot. Yeah, we had Schultz. The other thing, so we are online first and so far online only. And part of like what we do to try to make it super easy on the speakers and super comfortable for them, we've got a lot of like, we're really, really fortunate that a lot of speakers that don't normally speak or that don't go on the design festival circuit have said yes to presenting. Um, so yeah, it's a fun spot. And yeah, a lot of physical gadgetry, and you'll see some like old screens and hacked screens and flip displays. Um, and all of that gets talked about and showcased.
We have a question from Angela. Angela says, doesn't the typography need a real human to create the way it looks, not just how it sounds?
Wait, which prompt are we talking about? Drawing
Well,
machines or
I think
about?
we might be talking about the drawbot. We might be talking about how the question, are audio recordings typography? That's the question we're talking about. Are audio recordings typography?
So when I was playing around with that idea, like it was really like breaking it down in terms of like, I mean, why is typography the way it is? It's because people needed to communicate a message about God or merchandise or whatever. And that is what they found. They found that they could do it with wooden blocks or metal blocks or whatever else. But the goal was really to one to many or a mass communication of sorts. So their limitation was not because conceptually they're like, oh, this should be on a page, and oh, I didn't think there was audio, but there's a little squeaky. Sorry, thought I turned all that off. Um, Machines sometimes make noise, and there's a lot of audio design. You'll see a lot of audio designers, and you'll see like festival graphics and things like that pop up on wherever the screen is. Um, but yeah, so basically, like the goal of early typesetters and early designers wasn't we need to create letters that look like this and create their boundaries. Their goal was how do we effectively communicate to one to many in a large group? And if they had access to different tools like a computer or an audio recorder, record player, mixtape, whatever, they might have ended up with something that looks very different. So that's one of the things. So it's like we're kind of a typography festival or kind of a communication, kind of visual, kind of not. Had a friend that was doing research on how to communicate with animals by just tapping in directly into brain waves. And we haven't been able to get him to present yet, but I feel like that in a way, that could be typography.
Mm.
Okay, I can rein back in. We can talk about shapes and forms again, or whatever people would like. One of the other, in terms of what we're thinking about, and also in terms of trends, uh, earlier this year we launched a sister festival to Inscript, and it's called Fleuron. So Inscript happens in the fall, and Fleuron takes place in the spring. And Fleuron focuses on illustrations of flowers and decorative things, and our relationship between us, technology, and nature. And that's again like just and it again just happened where we were seeing a trend or a pattern in terms of the works that people were making. The people were speaking at Inscript were like, oh, there's a lot of flowers in the works, or there's a lot of questions about like what can you like what is the role of technology and nature today, and we're like, oh, we wonder if maybe there's something there. Let's gather a group of people that are thinking about this from all the different ways and see what's there. So that is our most recent initiative, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that took place this spring, and there the conversations were also like you had really, really technical conversations in terms of like how to CGI and how to do like how to use creative code for all the creative, like incredible works they were making, but also a lot of bigger conversations in terms of like, is AI potentially good for nature and our relationship with the planet? What ways is it good? What ways is it bad? Is going digital minimalism and permacomputing a potential way? So we ask the really lofty questions, and then we also get down to like the very specifics where people are often like, every time, people are asking, what tools do you use, what software do you use? A lot of this stuff is not super popular and available in terms of tutorials, or in terms of like people are really pushing the boundaries of all the software. So there's a lot of that gets discussed as well, in terms of like, how do you actually step one foot in front of the other and create the works that
So I have a quick question here, which is you're talking about Inscript and you're talking about Fleuron. Can you really make clear the distinction between the two events, and how do they play out? What is appropriate for one versus the other, etc.?
one happens in October and the other happens in April.
That's it.
No, I mean, there's some overlap. There's some overlap in terms of artists and things like that. But yeah, like at Inscript, when we're curating, it's like technology, innovative use of tools, craft, a lot of typography and type design. And then I guess Fleuron, it has a little of that, but it's more maybe illustration side of things. But I think but it's a lot of similar practitioners, or practitioners that are working in a similar realm. So I think if you like one, you will be interested by another. And I think for me, like another thing, like when we're curating even just Inscript, we're putting a lot of different, as you can see, different works right next to each other and one after another. And that's like, for me, when I want to be inspired, it's sometimes helpful for me to look at work that's not exactly what I'm doing, but something that's like interesting, innovative, but a little to the side. Like, I find that the easiest to steal ideas from, get inspired by, and roll into like, or help reframe and pivot the way that I'm thinking about things. So these are just, yeah, like different kind of reflection boxes on society, or places that I think are just generally interesting for anyone.
So how many people do you usually get in each of these events? Like how many
Um,
speakers or presenters or whatever they are called?
Whatever they're called. Um, so so Inscript is like 30 plus, 30 presentations plus moderators plus some repairs. So it's usually like 30 some is for Inscript, and Inscript runs for 5 days. And then Fleuron is smaller. Fleuron was 3 days, and I don't remember, 18 presentations, somewhere just under 20 or
So
something.
that one's just getting started a little bit. Like that's a
It's the first year. Yeah, it's the first year we did it. So it was kind of our little like, let's see if there's something there and what happens. Um, but yeah, so the idea is to get to just that point, like to overwhelm you, but not exhaust you. So that's like the sweet spot that we aim for. Um, and I think we hit it. And then, yeah, if you get the ticket, you have 6 months to rewatch, so you can actually rewatch it with a clear head and not just be.
Okay, so I'm going to be provocative here. There's a
Mhm.
lot of type design, type festivals around the world, and type conferences, etc. What differentiates Inscript from something like TypeCon or Typographics or A Type I? What is Inscript's place in this
Um,
panoply of type design festivals?
It's yeah, like so it's definitely, as you can see with the work, it's not just type. Or it's type that's at the edges that doesn't always get folded into regular things. We look at a lot of different places when we're curating. You'll see a lot of artists, you'll see a lot of gallery artists, you'll see installation works, you'll see people that are from the technology center. So it's things that relate, but it's not as narrow of a focus. And one of the reasons that was we started it was we weren't seeing the kind of work or the work we wanted. Like there might be one or two people that show up at other festivals, but we weren't seeing that as a focus. Um, and we have like technology or that kind of experimentation as our core. Um, and we kind of like, so I think there's like some events, like type events are definitely mirror, and design festival definitely mirror some of our presentations. But it's also like events that no longer exist, like the energy that was at Typo Berlin or what used to happen at IO in Minneapolis, a little bit of like South by. So it's just a little broader or to the side, or it's a slightly different curatorial view. And then it's also kind of the presentations that take place that are different. We try to discourage portfolio talks. Uh, so we try to get speakers to go more into a deep dive. So it can be either a single project or certain style of projects or a process. And we're like, hey, like we don't want to just see your work. We want to understand how you're thinking, how you go about it, um, and go into more of a deep dive. So that's part of it. Then it's the fact that we get people that don't necessarily say yes or that aren't usually at these events. The other part is the opportunities, the fact that we are online first and online only. So if you're watching Inscript online, you're not a second class citizen. You're not just seeing a stream of a talk that's meant to be given live. Um, a lot of practitioners take advantage of that. They'll edit things together, they'll really incorporate their creativity into the way they're framing their talk. We're able to get people where English isn't their native language. We have a super global audience and a global set of participants. Um, so, and we're constantly open to experimenting and trying to find what else we can take advantage of from uh, having a digital conference and digital events, and how we can make the digital experience really rewarding and not just a shadow or
Yeah, a chimera of reality. Um, but it's interesting because a lot of the objects, about maybe a third of the things that I'm seeing are appear to be tangible, and I want to touch them, and so we have this issue of trying to reach into my computer, and I want to flip through that flip book, or put that shawl on or whatever. And would you consider having an in-person event at some point?
um we'd consider it, as we just haven't figured out a way to do it that is sustainable and doesn't mesh against the ethos of like maybe it would be pop-ups, maybe it would be something else. I'm not sure. But kind of one of the things is like we're really big on accessibility, and we're really big on getting speakers that don't live in the big cities or aren't able to easily travel, or that live somewhere really far away where it's cost prohibitive for them or us or whatever. And it's the same thing on the audience side. Like we have people that are able to attend that are not able to attend other events or able to be in other places. Um, so possibly. and I don't know what that would look like today.
I see a question from Angela here. Angela asks, has any of the experimental work presented at Inscript become commercially available or licensable?
Yes. Uh, I don't always know exactly the afterlife of things that are presented in Inscript. Um, but I've definitely we hear back some of the stories of things. Some of the presenters have gotten book deals and things, works and thoughts, and ways of thinking and ways of their process has turned into books due to people seeing them at Inscript, and then other people have made connections, made collaborations, or started doing a type of work after Inscript. So we get feedback a little bit now and then, which keeps us going.
How many people are your co-collaborators at Inscript? I think you may have mentioned it, but I spaced it.
No, I didn't because it changes.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a nights and weekends little side,
Hmm.
little big sprawling side thing for a lot of us. So it's been pretty organic and kind of fluid behind the scenes. Some people have been, right now it's like some people have been with it for the entire time. Some people kind of come and go. It's just a couple of us right now. Um, but it's, people get excited about what is taking place and people end up chipping in different ways.
Mhm. What was one of your favorite projects, if you can say that?
I
Have we
can't.
seen it yet?
I mean, one as a curator, I feel like I should,
I
as one of
know,
the
I
curators, I
know, but
feel like
I
I
had to
cannot
ask.
have favorites, but also like, I mean, kind of that's kind of part of the, I mean, as you're watching the slides, as you're watching them, like, which one's your, and that's not even all of them, like, which one's your favorite? Like, so it just goes where it's like, oh, that one's my favorite. And then something else comes on right after, or something else comes on the next day. And it's just, each one spins your perception and concept of what's possible in a way that like
This one's my
there's
favorite right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's my favorite right now, and that is, and it's just it's exciting to see what's possible and what's being done. And I really do think we're at a space where our industry is changing and expanding in
Mhm.
kind of a really exciting way. And so this is a space, to celebrate and perceive and observe that.
Awesome. Yeah, I know as a type teacher, right? I don't have any students that are favorites. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm
Oh, I have
watching.
some student favorites.
Ah, it's like
There, there,
whoever's
there, there
presenting
I
at the
will.
moment. Whoever's presenting at the moment is my favorite. That's right.
I
Um,
know some students are my favorites, and if they're watching, they know.
ah,
Um, but yeah, one of the reasons, like for this talk, like whenever you asked, and I gave the title of what was it like for a long time, there was type and there was pictures,
mhm,
and I think that's like that's in terms of another thing that I noticed over the past couple of years, or one of the things we're seeing is that was like the way type was used for a long time. Like if you're looking at specifically like take an advertising, marketing, attention grabbing industry, which is a big industry of type. And so for a long time, you have the advertisement, which is the film or a video or a picture that gets your attention, whatever else. And then you have the type that's just the caption that's meant to explain it or stay below and isn't the thing. And one of the things with type becoming animated and kinetic and being able to embody and infuse so many more emotional touch points, visual touch points, metaphors, references, how it's able to shift and bring so much into itself is type is no longer the caption or the thing that's sitting below. It's taken the main stage in a way that I did not. Well, you had like some crazy display type. It's taken the main stage in a way that I did not see 10 years ago, 20 years ago, anything like that. So that's another thing that kind of we're celebrating, looking at in terms of like how much bigger the role of type is, which I think we kind of maybe all also feel in other ways where it's like people know what type is, and there's more schools, and there's more centers, and there's more thing to celebrate it. And I think part of that is definitely technology allowing it to carry and do a lot more and
Yeah,
communicate.
that's actually a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about the title and I hadn't thought about it in those terms. But I mean, even since, going way back, we've had examples historically of printers who use shape type, to create a graphical element on the page.
Mhm.
So type as image and
Mhm.
type as picture actually has like a good solid historical foundation going back to the beginnings of type itself almost, right? So I'm thinking of like Aldous Manutius and his Hypnerotomachia, where he's got those little cute little shaped endings to the type, or calligrams, right? Where
Mhm.
calligraphers would write type in the shape of
Yeah,
they'd write calligraphy in the shape of an animal or whatever. Uh, and that may be a poem about that particular
yeah.
animal. So it is not a brand new thing, but it's manifesting in different ways, is what.
Yeah, it's manifesting in different ways and it's just becoming much more abundant. Though totally agree with yeah, like the Arabic culture uh there it's existed in a whole other way. So maybe just the rest of us are using technology to catch up and make Latin shapes do what they weren't designed to do or what they haven't been able to do before.
Very cool. People in the audience, please send your questions in for Ksenia. Yes, I see that Anna has already made that prompt too. Um, she is eager to answer them.
We'll see, yeah, what else I wrote down or can talk about, but I like the conversations because I feel like if it's just me talking, I'm gonna say what I've said before and what you can find in
But
a
we haven't
normal
heard you say
summary. But
it
it's like
before,
the
Ksenia.
space in between where, and it's again, it's same with like what's the interesting thing of bringing people together. And again, why anyone that's in the chat, you should chat. I want to know who you are and look up your work and see why you're here and see how maybe we can help you on your journey or some other potential possibility. Because to me, yeah, it's the space in between that's the most charged and interesting.
I am seeing a lot of examples of like it's not exactly type knitting, but it's handicrafts, like traditional handicrafts, like embroidery or stitching or knitting or maybe uh, what is it? Crochet, things like that. Incorporating letter forms as part of the technique. And I know that's not a new thing either, right? But
Mhm.
it is it's something that was traditionally marginalized as maybe women's work or something along those lines.
Mhm. Right.
And I wonder if you have anything to say about that concept.
Well, I mean, it's also like knitting and computers and code have the shared history, right? Like original computers came from knitting machines, and original computers were just women sitting in offices doing, I don't know, math equations. So there's a lot of people like going back, some super with intention and maybe some more accidentally in terms of like going back and rediscovering or finding new ways or new kind of collaborations. And I definitely love seeing all those mergers and seeing what people are making.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the original typefaces were bitmap, right? And that is very reminiscent of like either architectural lettering, right, where you paint bricks and put them in, or needlepoint or other handicrafts where it's either it's on or it's off, right?
Yeah,
So it's the original binary.
that as
Letter.
well. Exactly. Yeah. So I guess it's also like just connecting all those crafts that were maybe not serious enough for type events or other things and just bringing them all together and seeing what we can learn from each other and how like as people are, because it's also like it's a current technology affects the shape of language and the shape of visual expression, and it's also like vice versa. It's like through the conversations between different mediums, both historical and contemporary, that informs what the tools of tomorrow and what the code of tomorrow is able to do. So it's also a place for people that are just on the tech side to understand what's being done or what people want or what could be.
Okay, so this is a good I'm feeling a question about what do you think, since you're hosting these festivals that are really on the cutting edge of type technology and letter forms. Um, what do you think is going to happen? Where do you see the future of type going? Where do you see what's going to happen in 20 years, 15 years, 5 years? Where are we headed with type? Are we not going to need type anymore because we're having chips put into our brains?
Possibly. I mean, we'll still need it, but no, I don't know. Like that's kind of I just like creating the space for people that are thinking about it in other ways or deeper ways than I am to figure out. Okay, my slideshow got to the end. Should we just talk or should I restart
Yeah,
it again because
we can
people
keep
can
talking, or why don't you restart it? Because there's has some really
because
cool.
those first ones were missing some of the names, so
Yeah,
if we restart it, then people will.
and people can watch the eye candy while we chat.
I feel like that's the best way to kind of chat, right? Um, okay, now
Oh,
wait, I'm
I
sharing.
think we have a question in the Q&A
Yeah,
portion
yeah.
too.
I'm gonna get to those in just a second. Thanks, Anna. Yeah. Um. So we do have a couple questions. Here we go. Brandon,
Oh, people were just polite and putting them in the Q&A
we
and
got
not
two,
in the
and
chat
not
where
in the chat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have
that's what
Brandon.
happens when you follow proper
That's
instructions.
right. Brandon asks, how much of what is presented is play and how much is innovation? And do you even perceive a line between the two? Do the presenters ever make a distinction or a claim to one or both of those categories?
The presenters will probably mention like if something's a client project or if something's a passion project or things like that. My general attitude towards innovation and learning of any kind is play has to be at the center of it. Um, and there's an energy in play that allows things to be created and keep things going. I also think, as anyone that works with a visual medium or an attention getting medium or things like that, if you don't have play and if you're not fully enjoying it, it's going to register on the other side. So there's definitely a lot of blurring and there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of humor. And yeah, things that went right, things that went wrong, mistakes that ended up being better than the original planned path. But the presenters will talk about like if something's a client project, if something started as an experimentation and then it got traction through some way, or the experiment got traction, or they were able to pitch it and get clients projects that way. And I think that's a lot of contemporary, like that's a lot of the way clients find people now anyways, that you just start making the work you're super excited to make, and then it becomes more of a thing.
Right. If you can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be having fun, and that's going to be apparent. You know, if you're not enjoying yourself, you're not having fun, that's going to come through. You know, I agree. Brandon, oh, thanks, Brandon. Brandon asks another question. You said some of these things are, quote, not serious enough to be presented elsewhere. So perhaps that's a clue. You want to expand on that for Brandon?
I would love to. I don't think did it's possible. Maybe I did. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What word did I use? Did I use serious?
Well,
But I
maybe.
think like I mean like like I think it was maybe to the answer of your question of like how is this different from the other typography conferences? And I think the other typography conferences focus on fonts and typography, and we bring things a lot from the edges. And in fact, where we're playing and where we're splashing around and where we're looking tends to be on the edges, and those are the conversations we're most excited about, because in terms of bringing them into the same room so they can converse with each other.
That makes sense. I think that's probably what that was in the context of the other type conferences versus this one. Yeah, because why you wouldn't say that they weren't serious. It's not serious as in, you know, I think all of this stuff can be taken seriously, right?
Oh, it's
Fun
very
is
serious.
very
No, I mean
serious.
like, and it looks fun and play, but like the amount of work, effort, and skill that goes into these projects is immense. Like this is not splashing something against the wall. Like these are incredible, dedicated practitioners at the absolute top of their fields, spending countless hours creating their own software, paving new paths. Like this is a lot of this work is not for the faint of heart.
This one's very cool. This looks like a variable font, huh?
It is.
With maybe a melting axis or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a little multi-script psychedelica available from Universal Type.
And then, you know, devil flames are always
Or
popular.
Universal Thirst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, gang, any other questions for Ksenia before we sign off? Mm-hmm. Any last words you want to share with the audience, Ksenia?
Well,
Give them a second to drop another question in the Q&A.
yeah, drop
Yeah.
some things in. Like, again, drop who you are, drop why you're here, drop what you want to achieve. And if you don't get a chance to, come to Inscript and hang out in our chat.
You want to is that at inscript.tf or at Floron? Those are Instagram handles, or okay. So that's how
Those
you
are
can get a hold.
Instagram, and our website is as Letiform Archive just dropped. It's inscript.tf. We're in the middle of curating this event, and we didn't want to release the speakers until we have all of them. But it's going to be an incredible lineup of all new speakers. 30 plus people, 5 days, €40 for the entire thing. And you can go to our site and get tickets. You can also go to our site and see past speakers. You can't see their presentations, but you can see who they are and look them up.
Oh, so there's once the recordings happen, they're not saved anywhere, or they?
Oh no,
Oh.
it's a time-based event. It is momentary. So did that in part to like we were really trying to think through like how to create a feeling of safety and openness for our speakers,
Mhm.
so they can not overly worry about what they're saying, so they can talk about potential projects that they're not like there's certain NDA projects that you can talk about it in a closed group that you can't talk about super publicly. And also because people are sharing their techniques and because they're pontificating
Mm.
on like new technologies or the future things that are going. And this is such a fast changing field where things shift and move so fast. We didn't want people to feel like they would get stuck in
Yeah, no, that's
kind of
that's
way.
actually
So
pretty.
it's like, so yeah, so we created as a thing like to try to create as safe of a space as possible. So what happens at Inscript stays at Inscript with the speakers that we will never publish their presentations in full. So yeah,
I like that. What happens in Inscript stays in Inscript.
it's a
All
scandal.
right. So if we want to participate, we got to sign up. There's no way to check it out afterwards. So take that into consideration, people. Thank you so much, Ksenia. It's been a pleasure hosting you. And
Thank
thank
you
you,
very much.
everybody, for dropping in. Now, this will be recorded and shared, so you can review this one afterwards. This isn't what happens at Letterform Archive stays at Letterform Archive. The world will know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting
Okay.
me come and show slides of these incredible practitioners. Look them all up, follow them. There's so much to learn and so much to get inspired by. And it's great to just be able to chat and banter for a bit and be in this.
Thank you so much. Mwah. All right, everybody, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to be hosting our next Letterform lecture with Type on Fire. So don't miss it. Keep your eyes peeled for our website announcement. Okay, ciao, everybody. Enjoy your morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is.